You don't have to be a redneck to love Jeff Foxworthy's comedy. His completely relatable humor and South-inspired jokes entertained millions around the world.
I do have a few new redneck words for you. First one, mayonnaise.
And his show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?, brought out some of the weirdest answers and funniest moments in TV history. But the path to success was a slippery and winding road for the beloved comedian, who nearly gave up on his entire career multiple times. Did you know his show was canceled? And he was even nominated for the worst actor on television at one point. Did you know this king of comedy nearly never made it at all? Stay tuned as we find out the goods, the bads, and the funny ones, as we explore the life of Jeff Foxworthy and the struggles he had to endure before becoming one of the most beloved comedians in the country. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up to help it circulate, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Alright, you ready? Well, grab a cozy blanket and a beer as we go find out.
What happened?
A funny Southern boy. Jeff Foxworthy was born in Atlanta, Georgia, as the first of 3 kids. While he was in high school, his dad divorced his mom and abandoned the family. As the oldest of the siblings, he now had to support his family, and this affected his education and mental health. So Foxworthy started using comedy and humor more often as a way to escape the outside world. While attending college at the Georgia Institute of Technology, he actually worked full-time at a grocery store, even having to skip classes to make the job. His grades struggled, and he had to drop out and take a low-level job in computer maintenance at IBM. Foxworthy would often entertain his colleagues with his humor, realizing that he enjoyed that a lot more than working on computers. So his team urged him to enter the Great Southeastern Laugh-Off at the Punchline Comedy Club in Atlanta in 1984. And wouldn't you know it, the guy won. After the performance, Punchline promised him a full-time career, so he quit his full-time job at IBM. But not even a month later, that comedy club who just promised him big dreams let him go. Jeff found himself out of work and with no prospects. He thought about quitting comedy right then and going back to IBM, but he was determined to succeed and make a comedy career a reality. So Jeff Foxworthy began the town-to-town grind, traveling the southern United States, looking for comedy clubs that would book his act. He faced rejection more than not, because nobody knew who he was. Plus, stand-up comedy wasn't even that big of a thing as it is today. A big supporter of his was his wife, Pamela Gregg Grafe, a former actress he met during one of his shows. Pamela had a full-time job, which sustained the couple throughout the 1980s, giving Jeff the ability to travel on the road. When he could get a few minutes on the stage, Jeff would bring his top-notch game, and he slowly began building a following.
If every day somebody comes to your door mistakenly thinking you're having a yard sale, you might be a redneck.
So in 1985, Jeff Foxworthy booked 406 shows. That's right, more than one a day. But he didn't even make $9 grand for the year. Jeff Foxworthy faced some tough times, but he refused to give up on his passion for entertainment, and the man was never scared to work and improve himself.
I found it, Sandra! I found it!
The 90s breakthrough. In the 1990s, he and his wife moved to California, and Foxworthy began recording more comedy videos of his experiences growing up in the South. He sent them around to giant broadcasting companies like HBO, Showtime, The Tonight Show, and Late Night with Letterman. His first appearance was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Southerners never get to play anybody intelligent, you know. Never a lawyer. We're the guy in the overalls tying the boat up to the dock going, y'all gonna be all day?
Which helped create the ball rolling down the hill. Then he was an opening act for country music superstars. No, seriously, like Garth Brooks and Emmylou Harris. But it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. In the upcoming years, the career of Jeff Foxworthy would indeed rise, but also fall. So if you don't live in a box, you certainly know the comedy series You Might Be a Redneck If. The series began in Michigan, and a few years later it was a best-selling book, a Showtime special, and a Billboard charting album, which sold over 2 million copies. And finally, in 1994, Warner Brothers signed Foxworthy to a contract. Time for TV. With all this new attention, broadcasting giant ABC approached Jeff about building a sitcom around him. Initially, the show was called Somewhere in America, but ABC hated the initial pilot, so they fired everybody apart from Jeff and creator Tom Anderson. Now the two had 7 weeks to come up with a new idea, and this is how the Jeff Foxworthy Show was born. The show debuted in 1995 with less than favorable ratings. Foxworthy even had the weird distinction of being named the worst actor on television by the New York Post. After a dismal year, NBC bought it and tried to revamp it, but the show never caught on. Some believed it would be the end of Foxworthy's career in TV. But a few years later, he would re-emerge victoriously and return to the screens of millions. Seriously, I know we all watched at least a few episodes of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Because it was pretty great. In between, Foxworthy returned to Atlanta to settle back into the stand-up gig. He set up the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, together with Larry the Cable Guy, Bill Engvall, and Ron White. And the group remains one of the most successful comedy troupes in history. The comedian is now worth more than $100 million. In 2022, Foxworthy had his own Netflix show, The Good Old Days, where he reminisces wild stories from the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. He talks about aging, texting, and sex education. On social media, you can find him sharing hilarious jokes. Jeff Foxworthy, not an overnight success. The guy is a testament to hard work and believing in yourself in your own humor. Fans might not see his face on TV as regularly, but the guy is far from gone. He's a fine example of what happens when you are dedicated to what you love best and work hard to achieve your goals. And personally, he is one of the best comedians out there. Alright, enough of me, now we need to hear from you. Who is your favorite comedian from the Blue Collar Comedy Tour? Do you remember a great bit of Jeff's? And did you watch any of his TV escapades? Has anyone seen his comedy live? I look forward to reading your thoughts. Before you head to the exits, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Heck, I certainly did. Subscribe to our channel and come back often so we can keep telling you what happened.
Well, bye. I'm out of chips. Louise!